What's going on, guys? Hope everybody had a good Christmas time with your family. I enjoyed mine. Hope everybody has a happy new year coming up. But this is the last video. I don't know. Start out strong. I'm right at 12,000 subscribers. I think January 20th we'll actually make a full year. Figured maybe a couple at the most, maybe 1,500, but 12,000 is not all that bad. But start out strong. You're making videos every day, 4 or 5 a week, and a little tedious sometimes. You get, you don't feel like doing it. You don't want to do it. You get home, you don't feel like editing a video. Maybe you find time on the weekend. Sometimes you don't even want to look at YouTube. You don't want to see it. You don't want to see a computer. So it's thanks to the subscribers and the people that have liked, especially the 4.1 million people that watch the clogged AC drain line short. I enjoyed that one. No, I don't use refrigerant when I blow out a drain line. I put that little comment in there to just to see what the reactions would be. But no, if you know how to do that, you're not going to blow a drain line up. I'm not pumping 200 psi nitrogen into a drain line. 15, maybe 20 psi max on the regulator. Make sure your drain line's secured, fittings are glued, things like that. But it's only for the real bad clogs. Now, the comments were ridiculous, hilarious in a lot of cases. But yeah, 4.1 million views on that one. And that thing still averages about 8,000 views a day. But anyway, this is going to be the last video. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you guys have a happy new year. And don't drink and drive. Stay safe. All the best. And enjoy 2024. Another service call brought to you by our friends at Lennox Heating and Air Conditioning, because quality matters. Anyway, another company's been out here about 3 or 4 times. Can't figure out why this unit will not keep up at night when it's cold. So I think they checked both units. The problem he's having is with his downstairs unit. And, well, as you can see, they left all the caps off of his other unit. So I'm gonna give him a Christmas present and put a couple of caps on there for him once I get this one figured out. For all I know, they were checking the wrong unit anyway. So they were here 4 times. So I don't know. Let's see what the pressures are on this thing. Let's get this other cap off. Okay, so let's see what our pressures are down here on this thing. Make sure all this works. Could just be something as simple as the heat strip's not coming on. 108, 347, then heat mode. So it is 50 degrees outside. So I'm not going to complain too much about that 410A system. Heat mode pressures 109, 343. Let's peek behind the panel real quick. Run a defrost test on it. I mean, nothing out here is frozen or frosting, so in the world has somebody put on this thing? Well, I know that don't come from Lennox. This is a heat pump, and I'm missing a defrost board, which usually sits right there. So somebody has put in some kind of Honeywell home bullshit. Hold on just a second. So the other unit, sitting right beside of it, still has the original defrost board in it. So somebody has put this thing in here, and I have no clue. I've never used one of these or looked at one of these. So let's see. No, didn't leave any paperwork with it. Is there a sticker in here for it? Nope. Just the stuff from the original defrost board fault code list. The shield of comfort. I don't know, these people run these calls around here with some. This is just selling people this crap. They should have just got the OEM part. Anyway, let's see if we can figure out what's going on with it. So, found a little manual online about this thing. It's just some Honeywell piece of junk, universal defrost. So let's see what we got over here. It's got a fault history. It doesn't have a current fault now, but the fault history was a 6, a 7, and an 8 as a current alert. Now, so look down here on this. See, that jumped all the way back up the top of the page again. So 6, low pressure lockout, open 3 times in a single request. Now, this is what it's displaying in the fault history. 7, high pressure cutout, is currently open, and it also had 8, low pressure cutout, is currently open. Investigate refrigerant charge, coil blockage, blah blah blah. So anyway, somebody, I just noticed up here, has disconnected the wires coming from inside the unit that are coming from the low pressure switch, if I'm not mistaken. I have to look down in there and figure out which one it is. But anyway, saying it was stuck open. Now, stick your meter to the thing, and yeah, doesn't seem too open to me. For whatever reason, somebody disconnected that and put a jumper on this thing. So I'm gonna put it back on and see what happens. Alright guys, I've been running this thing. I found a book to this thing online. So I mean, it's not too, I mean, it just tells you if you got any faults, fault history. All of these are low and high pressure switch faults. This is what I'm finding in here in the fault history with no current alert. But it just tells you your display. Scroll through that, and when it's heating, it'll say heat there. Tells you that your coil sensor is reading 57, and then your ambient temperature sensor is reading 54. And then you go through the setup instructions on it, and I got tired of scrolling on that thing. So basically what I found is, okay, for whatever reason they had the low pressure switch disconnected and a jumper put on it. I'm guessing they couldn't figure out why. I don't know why they didn't use the OEM part. I'm going to guess we've had issues with this thing not operating the defrost properly. So we had the defrost coil, or the enabled defrost temperature, set at 30 degrees. I turned it up to 34. Then we had our termination temperature on our defrost for our coil, and they had that thing set up there at like close to 100 degrees. I turned it down to 70, So basically coil temperature where the defrost is terminated. I'm guessing this thing was just maxing out in defrost time, because the total defrost cycle time is, they had it set for 30 instead of like 90. We don't need to go through defrost cycle around here every 30 minutes of runtime. Just not needed. And then they had our short cycle delay, the reversing valve delay, and then maximum defrost time. They had it set all the way up here at 14 minutes. And I turned it down to 10, because I'm just wondering if this thing, just because of the temperatures and the way they had it set, was this thing staying in defrost too long and then just tripping out on one of the pressure switches, high or low. So I mean, I've not used or seen one of these in action before, but you go through there and set all that by pushing this button. 1, 2, let's see, so I'm going to turn that termination temperature down to 6. I'm going to set it on 65. They had it on like 95. You don't need to get the coil up to 95 degrees. And it's going to take longer on a real cold night for that to happen. And if this thing ends up going out on a pressure or something while it's doing that, sitting out here running forever in defrost, trips one of the switches. I guess they couldn't figure it out, so they just thought they would come out here and disconnect the pressure switch. But I mean, other than that, everything's running fine. I got 42 amps on the heat strips. The refrigerant charge on this thing is good. We've got to figure out how to test the defrost cycle on it. I think you hold this down, maybe, or something. I don't know. I have to go back in and look. But anyway, so once it comes on, it runs in heat. Let me go back and figure out how to do the defrost test on it real quick. Okay, so I guess what I'm seeing, it tells you to hold your down arrow down. Test. Okay, there we go. And let's make sure it comes on and runs in defrost cycle properly. And I mean, because the refrigerant charge on this thing's good. The pressure switch isn't stuck open. Why they bypassed it, I don't know. The heat strips are working fine. And it's been an issue ever since this original repair was done. So let's see what happens. So that was a short defrost. Unless in the test mode it just doesn't. I mean, it's what, 52 degrees out here. That coil hasn't really gotten that cold yet. It's been off for a few minutes, but let's make sure. Okay, now we're back on. So I guess it just switches off. It switches the valve just to test it and make sure that it's going to do it. Probably have to let it run a little longer, let this coil get nice and cold, then test that defrost again. But I don't know. If we have any more problems, I'm going to tell them they need to get the OEM defrost control board back out here and get it put in, because this is kind of crap people keep on their truck. And it's okay, get you out of a bind on the weekend, get somebody running temporarily, but you don't need to be, especially if you're not going to leave the paperwork, don't be selling this stuff to people. I mean, a real old unit, I don't know. I favor OEM parts. Now, if you can't get it, this is Lennox. maybe Lennox told them it was going to take about 15 years to get that part. I don't know. But I don't use this kind of stuff. OEM parts when it comes to control boards, ignition controls, things like that. I'm not using a board that's designed to go in 35 systems, because which one is it going to screw with? More than likely the one you put it in. So anyway, another hour with a Lennox system. an hour of my life I'll never get back. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a happy new year.